love life. This is Lagos Talks. Yes, Lagos and beyond. We're talking and would love for you, as always, to be a part of the conversation. It's interactive. It's Omas and Zibby here. We even have a special guest joining us. Now, yesterday was the International Day for the Right to Truth concerning gross human rights violations and for the dignity of victims. Yes, it's a bit of a mouthful, but basically, the right to truth is something that is invoked in the context of violations of human rights. And today we have a special guest joining us this morning. We're talking about human rights violations, addressing global challenges, and upholding dignity. Now, through history, the issue of these violations have continued to plague societies worldwide. It's something that has somehow continued to challenge the essence of human dignity and equality. Now, the National Human Rights Commission just last month had basically lamented the rising increase of human rights violations in Nigeria. According to Mr. Hilary Obona, the executive secretary of the commission, the observatory is to record the daily human rights complaints by Nigerians across all 36 states and the FCT. Now, our special guest this morning is Omoniyi Onabule. Omoniyi Onabule is a human rights lawyer, and he's joining us on the show this morning. Good morning, Omoniyi, and welcome to Lagos Talks.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure indeed. This is a challenge that Nigeria, like so many other societies, continues to face with regards to these human rights violations. Can you provide some insights into what exactly is happening in Nigeria right now and what could be done?
Okay, thank you again. So it's important that I give a bit of background before I go into the discourse. We have some rights that are basically non-negotiable. And when the creation of UN came about, all countries met and decided to have an agreement that, okay, regardless of whatever system you're practicing in your respective countries, there are some rights that are basically inherent as being a human being, right? And they signed the charter, so to speak, and that charter gives gives all countries the appropriate directives to inculcate it in their respective laws, constitutions, statutes, so that it becomes enforceable in those countries. Now, that is the background to what has led to what we now call human rights, breaking it down for our non-lawyer audience. Now, we've had this rights from the creation of, from since the creation of our constitution, but we also have institutions, we also have framework that are put in place to ensure that these rights are protected. And where there is any breach, there's a proper redress for this right. Now, what is happening is that, yes, I also read the reports of uh, the commission, and I can tell you for a fact that what is even happening is the fact that there is a breakdown, or there's an institutional breakdown. All the frameworks, all the institutions created to ensure these rights are failing, right? And I'm glad that even the commission noted the fact that this is just um, perhaps 1%, all the cases that they are reporting. It's not complete. It's far more than that. I mean, we see it every single day. And thanks to social media, some of them are brought to the fore, right? And public space. So it is just failure of institutions that were created to ensure that these rights are protected. And I mean, we just must continue to have this conversation, continue to look for a way to improve this institution so that rights, because if your right is protected, it gives me confidence, right, that nobody else will come and infringe on my own rights. So it's merry-go-round, right? And this goes for the powerful and the rich who think that if they can use these institutions to breach human rights, yeah, it may be your turn tomorrow. So, I mean, all of these things contribute to the failing of the system. Thank
So,
you.
Onabule, we like you because you have chosen to give us this expansion on this right. I'm happy you've taken it to the constitutional angle where it's all rising from and from even the United Nations Charter. So help us just refresh our minds because most often than not, before you walk down the street at the end of the day, this I know my rights. Rights issue would crop up even before it is midday between citizens amongst themselves, between the citizens and even the authorities who should enforce laws. So remind us of some of those rights we can enforce and that citizens are entitled to. Onabule,
You're muted.
your mic is muted.
We're speaking with Omoniyi Onabule. He's a human rights lawyer, and the conversation this morning is basically around the concept of human rights. All right, welcome back.
Yeah, sorry, there was a break in transmission. So I mean, to run you through the rights, like I said,
Yes.
these are non-negotiable rights. I mean, if you look at Section 33, it guarantees your right to life, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a human being, you have the right to be living, except you've gone through a proper judicial process that will take away that right. That's an exception. You also have a right to dignity as a human person, and that is under Section 34, right? It simply means that as a human being, right, nobody should tamper with your dignity as a human being. These are non-negotiable inherent rights. I mean, you also have rights to your personal liberty, right? You have a right to move freely as a human being. Do you understand? But except, and there are exceptions, except there is a law restricting such liberty. I mean, upon conviction, once you're taken to prison, you cannot claim that you have right to liberty and they should let you go. I mean, those are the exceptions that are also implied in our constitution. And also, when you go to the judiciary, you have the right to fair hearing. And it's bigger than fair hearing. There are some elements enshrined in it for the courts to know, or the Superior Court or Court of Appeals to know that the trial court that heard your matter did it properly. So those elements are enshrined under Section 36. Now we have all of these rights guaranteeing your person as a human being. I mean, you also have a right to private and family life under Section 37, right? You also have a right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion under 38, right to freedom of expression and the press under 39. You also have right to peaceful assembly and association under 40, and right to freedom of movement under 41. Now, all of these rights, there is something inherent, right? Whilst they are creating this right, they are not oblivious of the fact that these rights can be trampled upon. And what has happened now is the makers of the constitution provided for ways where you can actually seek redress. Do you understand? Under section 46, right? Meaning that, in fact, thanks to our current human rights processes, right? The person that can institute the action doesn't even necessarily need to be the person that such rights was infringed, basically. So, I mean, if I'm going on the street and I see police beating up somebody, right, I have a right to take an action. Perhaps they detain that person and that person doesn't have liberty to even file the action. Those were the things they envisaged. That what if this liberty, this freedom of movement, everything is restricted, right? What happens? Should we just sit and be looking at the person that is under detention in police custody? How will that person seek redress? In some cases, they won't even let the person see a lawyer, right? So, in such instances, the law actually gives the person who knows all these facts to come to court, present all those facts, and then there are so many reliefs under the court where they can either order the person to be produced in court, and so many others that the court can grant in order to protect the right of those persons. So these are the basic human rights that are non-negotiable.
So then, if it goes non-negotiable, then it means there are some rights that are negotiable. So I'd like you to walk us through that then.
So I mean, we have rights, we have duties, and we have all of these things, right? You see the ones that I just listed out, and with fuller details under the Constitution. These are the non-negotiable. Every other right, except the law says it to be non-negotiable as a result of you being in an office. For example, a president has immunity and all of those things, except the law states that this particular right that they are creating will be non-negotiable to your office or to your person, right? Every other right that exists outside this fold, they are literally with some sort of restriction, so to speak. Do you understand? So these are not inherent as a human being. Just these are not inherent to your person as a human being, right? So whatever you see outside this framework, right, it is basically not on the same level with the rights enshrined here.
So also looking at the report now from this story, it's stating the Nigerian Human Rights Commission raising concerns about the rights violations in the country. But one is wondering, how can you be in a democracy and be having to talk about lots of rights violation? One would have thought, shouldn't democracy guarantee all of these rights? And why are we having these violations that the commission is worried about?
Not necessarily. Democracy is not a blank check that everything will be proper and everything will be appropriate, right? It is still humans that would occupy the democratic institutions to ensure that things work, right? And it is still humans that have this feeling. It is still humans that put in place this framework. So the fact that we are operating a democracy does not necessarily mean um, everything will be proper and appropriate, right? And you even have some other systems of government that they would even respect your rights compared to some other democratic institutions in some democracies, right? So it is not a blank check. Like I said at the beginning, this what we are witnessing is the failure of our institutions. I mean, it goes all over the place, from the law enforcement agents to the judiciary, and also every aspect, every person, every institution playing an important role in this process, right? And what we can do is to have this conversation, and for a fact, I speak as Public Secretary of NDA Lagos Branch. We are doing so much to address a lot of human rights violations. We are doing so much to correct some anomalies that we've seen in the system, right? We can only do so much because we are just a part of the entire system, right? And the conversation will be happening to improve the entire system that is relevant when it comes to protection of human rights.
All right, we're speaking with Omoniyi Onabule here on Lagos Talk. Stay with us. The conversation continues on the other side.
This advice makes sense. You sit there. It makes you just be envisioning. It takes you on an excursion. It has this.
Right.
It has a tour in it. I like it though.
But it's interesting. I don't think the person speaking is South African. It sounded like someone trying to have it. Like it doesn't, like when someone's trying to put on a Nigerian accent, right? And a Nigerian with a Nigerian accent is talking. You can tell when one person is trying to have a Nigerian accent. So this doesn't come across as a very 100% South African accent. Just saying. I think it's because like you have the ear for if somebody else hears outside that right. Actually, if person is maybe a movie person that watches right. But because you're an insider, I don't. It just Thomas?
It is still Lagos Talks and Smooth 98.1 FM. We've still got our guest here speaking with us. Of course, we'd like to hear from you this morning. If you give us a call on 014489981. And we can also read your WhatsApp messages if they come across, and on 0809 4440981. You can also go over to youtube.com/smooth 981 FM Lagos. So I return to you, Onabule. You had established the fact that democracy does not guarantee the fact that human rights citizens would enjoy it. As you even take it further to the point where you said there have been cases where even some forms of government that are considered not democratic have guaranteed better human rights than in some instances where democratic countries you can find that. So this takes me now to the issues of insecurity, as stated, which the country's been going over for over 10 years now. The commission raised these issues as also one of the hurdles why Nigerians are not enjoying their fundamental human rights as guaranteed by the Constitution. Honorably, it's
Yes, yes, I'm with you. I'm with
yes,
you.
go on.
Please repeat
Yeah, I'd
the
like you to
question.
speak to that.
All right. So when there is no security, there cannot be safety. So I mean, the fact that we've been dealing with security issues, as you've said, for the past 10 years, simply means that even the people who are making frantic efforts to ensure our safety and security will result into instances where they are desperate and they would forget or throw away human rights and engage in some breaches, right? Those are the issues that come about with insecurity, right? So um, it is not rocket science that we have a breaches when it comes to human rights based on the fact that the country itself is not well secured. I mean, we've been dealing with insecurity challenges, and it's looking like every year a new type of insecurity spring up, and it becomes an issue for the government to handle, and it's beginning to even look as if the government is even confused on what to do next, right? So security is very, 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 very important to the workings of human rights,
Yeah.
right? Because when there is high security, even gives the law enforcement agents the relaxed mood to be able to apply all the necessary processes to ensure that rights are not violated. And I must use this opportunity to actually commend our armed forces. They are trying, but the conversation should still be they can do better to secure us.
So, how does leadership, failure in terms of leadership to deliver electoral promises, amount to what you call this failure of course, in terms of human rights? Would that also account as part of denial of fundamental human rights to citizens? Listen, what you talked
So
about, right to
yeah,
life, dignity, liberty.
yeah, interestingly, thank you for that question. There is something that our leaders actually think is smart. They've done. They try to put in our constitution, right? So there's a particular chapter of the constitution that you cannot take to court, right? these are these are obligations of the state to its people. And yes, we are saying that we know that these things are very important to you, but if we fail, don't take us to court, right? If you take those matters to court, the first thing the court will tell you they are not justiciable, right? I mean, it goes to show that we are not ready, we are not serious when it comes to achieving a better society. Because if these matters become justiciable, it makes government more responsible. Because now they know that if they do not provide you with some policies, some objectives, if they do not achieve some objectives, I beg your pardon, they know that the people can take them to court and seek redress, right? For example, if you do not give me education as a child, I should be able to sue my government, right? If I can show that yes, I'm paying my tax, or my father is paying his taxes, right? And yet the children are not having the right to free education. And the government knows that they are not ready, they are not serious. So that part has been shielded from litigation, right? Until we remove the veil of this irresponsibility, I do not think we'll make much progress when it comes to achieving um, well protected rights within the society.
Now, still digging into some of this, some of the factors or issues raised by the NHRC, it talks about the North Central topping in terms of rights violation. But you would have imagined probably maybe some places in the northwest or probably northeast of the country. You think they're probably captured in this report, knowing the state of security and all of that?
Yeah, so I can tell you for free that that report uh, is just what the commission has received. It's not accurate to say that that's the entire violation. Trust me, if we want to do the statistics, we'll be surprised if we are not getting more than times three of those numbers when it comes to violations that go under violations that people just say forgive, forgive, forget, move on.
Mm.
So I mean, this is just a fragment of what is actually occurring within the society, and we as lawyers actually know of this. I can tell you for a fact that as public secretary of NDA Lagos, I man on their social media handle, and then members of the public come to us with various complaints, various issues, and thankfully, we as a branch, we had the foresight to create a helpline, which I think I'll share with your audience, where there is a breach of your human rights, right? Reach out to us, right? We'll be able to do our bit in ensuring your rights are protected. I mean, it goes to show that there's still so much more to be done when it comes to the issue of human rights in Nigeria.
Okay, let's go address and probably touch the tail of the elephants in the room this morning in this conversation. Police and citizens' relationship. When you begin to talk about rights violation, you understand the events of 2020 is still fresh at heart, and how rights violation would amount to something that would stir up such an emotion and almost engulf all of the country, and how we were able to navigate. Judging by that experience and bringing it forward, how can we get better police citizen relationship that would be devoid of violations of rights?
Simple capacity building. I think our police, they are really cute. They are not well informed. They are not uh, um, up to the standard where, uh, I mean, where you can trust them with their duties and responsibilities, right? And then they can continue to improve. They should continue to improve. Because once you have somebody who feels immediately is being handed the gun, it has all the power, right? Then you know that that person is not well informed, right? You should know that that person was not well trained, right? To understand that this gun and this power that they are giving you by virtue of law, by virtue of institutional framework, is to protect the society, not the other way around, not to harm the society, right? Until we have a police that is well informed, that is properly educated and well equipped, right? That is when we can now begin to rely on our police force. I mean, I've dealt with a lot of police matters over the years, and I can tell you that there are some cases that, to be honest, for you to even let the police know that this thing is wrong, it would look as if you're speaking Greek, right? And then you're surprised that how did this person get this uniform without being told that this thing is actually not acceptable, without being told that this is the limit, without being told that you cannot even raise your hand to any citizen for whatever reason, except you are doing an arrest, right? You cannot even maltreat anybody. Do you understand? And they feel like the person that is not at risk of running away, they are being maltreated. And what is the basis for that? They tell you that they have the power. Do you understand? In fact, thankfully for the improvements we've had so far, we used to have regular cases of torture. I'm not saying they do not exist anymore. They still do, but it's not something that they will keep their chest around, saying that yes, they did this to get this confession, they did that to get this statement, right? All of those things we have improved from them, but they still exist, meaning that we still need to do more to address the issues of breach of human rights, particularly by those entrusted to protect the human rights.
This also still staying with the police in relation to is bail a right of a citizen who probably maybe has not committed any, maybe the offense is bailable. Is bail supposed to be a right, and should it be free?
Okay, first and foremost, they will tell you that can you hear,
Onabule, you're
can you hear
muted.
me?
Yes, you were muted at some point. You have to unmute. All right, so we're still speaking with our guest this morning, Omoniyi Onabule, is still with us this morning, and we're speaking on the recent report released by the National Human Rights Commission that's been lamenting that there's been a spiral in the case of human rights violation in the country. We expect to hear from you this morning. Let us know what your thoughts are this morning. If that report in itself it's reflective of what you see around you and what can be done to help to bring down the rates of violation of rights of citizens drastically, and very importantly on 01-448-9981. And let's also read your WhatsApp messages on sending them across to 0809-444-0981. Yes, Omani, you're back. Okay, that will be on the other side. Just hold on. I just hold the thoughts. It is still Lagos Talks on Smooth 98.1 FM. Still got our guest here, Omoniyi Onabule, still speaking with us this morning and looking at the recent report released by the National Human Rights Commission, lamenting the increasing wave of rights violation in Nigeria. And Onabule has been able to so far establish the basic fundamental human rights that are non-negotiable, and flip the coin over to tell you also there are some rights that are, yes, enforceable and non-enforceable eventually. But Omoniyi, you have to unmute once
Yes,
again.
sir.
So you were going to establish the next part that relates to, you were speaking on the terms of bail before. Just some of that thought for us.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, there is one line that that is being pushed by police force, which is bail is free. I can tell you categorically that it is not. I'm sure the PRO will probably come on your show tomorrow and tell you again that it is free. I would urge you to invite me to say it again that it is not, right? And this is something that we are also pushing. We have a committee that was set up to work with the Commissioner of Police in Lagos State, and we have a representative from our branch, which is the chairman of the branch. And one of the cardinal points that we keep raising is the fact that you people keep telling us bail is free, right? But even when you arrest one person and the person's family gets a lawyer and they want to get, you must pay something, and it is appalling. It is distasteful. It is crass. It is something that should be discouraged entirely. It has become a money making venture. It is wrong. Let us say that it is very very wrong, right? There are some offenses that even the police, right? Once they've established criminal facie case against you, they do not even have the right to grant you bail. They have the right or the duty, if I put it properly, to take you to court immediately and charge you to court. And then your lawyer would either ask for a court bail if possible or ask for accelerated hearing so that the matter can be dealt with as quickly as possible, whichever is applicable in the circumstance. But you see police going to magistrates to get a remand order, right? I've even had a recent instance where uh, the the suspect was not even allowed to even reach out to the family. They just bundled the suspect. They took the suspect to a magistrate court, and innocently, the person didn't know what was going on. They just told him to stand in the court. He stood there, and then a remand order application was moved, extending his detention for about 14 days. This is wrong. This is wrong. We need to start telling ourselves the truth. It is wrong. No matter how much you feel about whatever offense the person might have done, there is still process to it, right? If you are competent with your work, you don't need to cut through corners to ensure that the person is further detained, right? And there's something else that police also like doing. And from my years of practice, we've observed that they purposely look for how your detention gets to Friday, right? Knowing fully well that the investigating officers will not come to work until the following Monday, just to be able to put you under pressure, to be able to punish you. And we need to continue to speak about this, right? And we need to tell ourselves the truth, right? And say that these things are wrong because desperate family accept you, they quickly rally around to pay you and move on with their respective lives. Doesn't make it right because people are not talking about it. Doesn't make it right because people have accepted it doesn't make it right, right? So all of these issues we continue to push as a branch, but if if the other parts that are involved in the framework when it comes to human rights protection are not with us, there's just so much we can do. But that doesn't stop us. That doesn't deter us. We will, as a branch, continue to push and ensure that proper things are done. In fact, we've started a program chaired by the vice chair of the branch, which is the pro bono services, going from one correctional facility to the other, meeting people, asking them, why are you here? You'll be surprised that some even lost track of their dates and they are in prison. As a matter of fact, I need to put it on here. I know for a fact that even correctional facilities play a very, very wrong role in this whole breach of human rights. Nobody will be spared because we need to tell ourselves the truth. I know for a fact that correctional facilities do not even carry people to effect. Let me say it on air. And when you accuse them that why didn't you present my client? The magistrate was ready, the lawyer was ready, the witness, everybody, prosecution, they were ready. And then you can't start hearing things about we didn't have fuel. We don't have fuel. Fuel is not enough. When you present a budget to the federal government, you present a budget, ain't you envisage all of this logistics? You are not supposed to be, and then you start seeing family members or people who care so much about the person in Kirikiri or in detention starting to rally around to even pay for petrol, fuel, money to bring their loved ones to court so that this matter can be quickly dealt with. So you can see that there's a rot in the entire system, right? If you look at it one after the other, you'll be surprised to see an institution that is working well in Nigeria. So, like I said, it goes back to my point that it is institutional failure.
Onabule, now this, let me just anchor on this point here, which is it's been a case of the litany of cases of the police violating or security forces violating. Can civilians or the populace also be seen to have also in this period of time also violated the rights of security operatives too in the course of doing their jobs?
Of course, of course. I mean, there are stories of that instance, stories of people handling police officers. And to me, I like to think that that is a strict liability offense, right? Even if the police is manhandling you, the story can change when you get caught if you raise your hand against the police force, right? Or a policeman or woman. So it is always best to, however safe you can take record of this manhandling and seek redress properly. You understand? So it is a strict liability offense for you to, we must also say that, we must tell the public. Strict liability offense for you to raise your hand against a policeman doing his job, right? The fact that he's wearing his uniform is lawfully doing his job, gives him protection under the law. You even see some estates that they say that, oh, no visit or nothing. The fact that the police said, I'm coming in here to do some investigation, gives them the automatic right to have access. So all of them, they have this power, they have this protection under the law. So citizens who engage in that, definitely it will be the policeman's discretion to let him off the hook because
Does this
usually
also cover the armed forces also in this regard? Does this cover the armed
yes,
forces too? Can
yes,
their
it
rights be
does. It
violated?
does. It does. It does. It does. They are humans, and this human rights that I just listed, as long as you are a man breathing, you have this right. Whether you wear a particular uniform or not, doesn't take away the fact that you have this right, right? But you see, those who are wearing uniforms are now the ones that are being entrusted to protect you. But it is not surprising if you see the other way around, where you see citizens manhandling police officers, and it's based on the trust that we have with the police force because we do not expect so much from them, and the people who engage in this act feel like you are all useless bunch. So I can just have my way with you right now. So we need to talk about the fact that this is wrong. It is not acceptable under our laws.
We're speaking with Omoniyi Onabule, and it's all about human rights violations in Nigeria this morning. So let us know your thoughts. If you've got a question or an opinion to share, the WhatsApp number is 0809 440 981. You can also tweet at smooth981 or even give us a ring. Phone lines open. The number to call is 01 4489 981. Now, when it comes to the issue of terrorism, it's a major problem that Nigeria has been facing, and the security agencies in Nigeria have come under a lot of criticism, also by international agencies as well, with regards to how the people who are suspected of terrorism have been handled in the past. And I'm curious about this. How do you reconcile making sure that people who've committed such heinous crimes actually are accosted, arrested, pay for their crimes, but still have their human rights respected?
Okay, so once that has been established, and the matter is taken to court, right, for proper redress, it becomes a judicial matter that must go through a judicial process, right? And courts are the ultimate protector of human rights. Whatever perception anybody has, courts are the ones that protect this human right at the end of the day. I'll give you an instance, just to give us those who may say, "Oh, courts are also this, courts are also that." Let me give you an idea. During the NSAS, there was a particular point in time where the protest was overtaken by hoodlums, and then it resulted in destruction of property, right? And then based on that, the court were not sitting. We can imagine the number of violations that happened in that period. People who were under detention, they couldn't be free because there was no court to enforce their freedom, right? People who also have been taken to court right? They were spending days at the police station. So, regardless, the court plays an important role in this process, right? And once it becomes a judicial matter, they are the protector, they are the ultimate protector in the scheme of things of this right. As a matter of fact, uh, it is their primary duty. I mean, when you present a case to court, they look at any element of violation of this right because they are the ones that are entrusted with this duty. So the fact that it become a judicial process, it is completely taken away from the law enforcement agents to manhandle you, right? Except in some rare circumstances where the court would request that they continue to hold you. I mean, the law enforcement agent continue to detain you. So once it becomes a judicial process, right, it's a different ball game, right? And there are rules, there are laws to ensure that even the judge acts within those rules, those laws. And then the idea is that at the end of the day, right, you get the appropriate judgment, be it acquittal, be it conviction, you get the appropriate judgment. And these processes are ongoing, right, all over the country. So if the commission is reporting that some cases were being reported to them, there are still some cases that are seen through the process and being dealt with, right? Even though we may not have statistics to vary both side by side, but these things do happen. The good is happening, the bad is also happening in the same society that we are in.
Mm, thank you for that, Omoniyi. And on a final note, just looking ahead, really, what are the most important steps that we collectively as a country need to take to ensure that we are advancing human rights, at least to a level that is comparable with what should be the ideal or what is seen as ideal globally?
First, I think we should improve police welfare and training because in all honesty, they are the very first point of contact when it comes to any violation. When it comes to any violation, now police is supposed to be so educated that they start telling people that no, this one is civil. You people go to court and resolve your issue. And when it now enters the level or the area of criminality, right, they should be so informed to say that okay, these are the allegations we have against you. You are not a convict, you are a suspect. And because you are a suspect, these are the rights that you are entitled to, right? As a matter of fact, some stations don't even like the fact that you are getting a lawyer because they know that the lawyer is better informed to say that no, 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 you cannot do this to my client, you cannot do this that to my client. They start negotiating with the family before a lawyer gets involved. And you see that the menial changes immediately. You say that, oh, this is the person representing me now. That needs to be discouraged, right? They need to understand that lawyers are not there as their enemy. Lawyers are there to ensure that proper things are done, right? Even if the person does not even have access to lawyer, right? The police needs to be well educated. Go to other countries, they are well educated, they know their rights, and I need to also state there are very, very good policemen out there, right? No matter what we are saying, we cannot throw away the baby with the bathwater. There are still good police force around, there are policemen and women around, and they are doing fantastic job, right? But now the problem is when you compare those doing fantastic job to those who are violating rights, it may overshadow, right? The ones that are doing fantastic job. But we need to continue to tell them that police needs to be, it needs to go back to the era of being an elite job, right? An elite job for elite people who would differentiate themselves in the society. I mean, if you have that, if you have police with proper integrity, that's battle have won because it simply means they cannot be easily bribed by the rich. They cannot be tempted to do something just because somebody is saying, go and lock up that person, I'll give you 500,000. They cannot do all of those things. They are well paid, right? That it will not even be easy for you to bribe them. So we need the police to be well equipped, well trained, giving proper welfare. That's the battle almost half won. Now, when you are now leaving the police, you go to other elements when it comes to protection of human rights. You go to correctional facilities, you go to the court, right? And I can tell you for a fact, there are some things, some small steps that we are taking as a branch to also improve the aspect of courts. Recently, we wrote to the chief judge of the state, telling the chief judge about some issues that some lawyers have complained about some judges, and they were dealt with. Those lawyers will not know that we were the ones that wrote the letter to the CJ, and the CJ had to call those judges to order and even look at some of other issues that we've raised. Right? Some are quite big that will take a process to rectify, but some were immediate. But lawyers would not know that, okay, this is why this judge has now changed from this to this. I mean, as a branch, we will continue to make our own, take our own steps within the framework and ensure that proper things are done.
Onabule, we can't let you go. You know, you were talking about the pro bono. Just leave a line for people who have issues. They need to reach out to your committee to see how they can help get access to justice.
Yes,
As we sum up
yes,
quickly.
yes, yes. Okay, so anyone who believes these are right has been violated can reach out to this phone number 09035907446. I take that again 09035907446. And if you think you prefer an email, you can send an email to humanrights@nbalagos.ng, humanrights@nbalagos.ng, or nbalagoshumanrights@gmail.com. NBA Lagos Human Rights at gmail.com. We have resolved so many cases, so many, and then we present a report to our fellow members every month. Thank you.
That's absolutely brilliant. And you have the phone number, you have the email, and if you truly need the support, well, you know what to do with them. Thank you so much, Omoniyi Onabule. And this is brilliant because this is advocacy. It's not just about speaking, but there's also action. And we think that is an amazing thing that you and your colleagues are doing as well. So thank you so much for being on the show.
You put it to them that they are doing a nice job. That's what they put. Lawyers put it to you. So that's what you put
exactly.
it to them that they're doing.
I'm putting it to you, Omoniyi Onabule, that you and your colleagues are doing a good job.
I take it as your footage.
Thank you so much, Omoniyi, and I hope we can have a similar conversation at some point in the near future. Thank you, and